Hello, friends. Bienvenidos. My name is Jen, aka Jen Kahlo on social media, your local witchy friend and intuitive guide through the occult. As always, my lovely husband and co-host is David, aka Premier Pulls on social media.
Hey everyone, on today's episode, Jen explains Leos.
Welcome to the show, grab a chair, make yourself at home. Jen's got stories to share, you'll never feel alone.
So we have some exciting announcements. I feel like lately we've been saying we have exciting announcements,
But you
but
have so much going on though.
we do.
Yeah.
We're in a phase of evolution right now, but we do have an exciting announcement. Our Patreon is now live after much demand.
Yeah, we've had a few people kind of ask us if we could have a Patreon. Usually with Patreons, there's tier levels, and that's kind of what we did. So when we were coming up with these tier levels, we were trying to decide what we wanted to name them, and we're kind of on a Sabrina Carpenter kick for a second, but we decided to go with our heritage. So we chose 3 levels. We have the chocolate level, which is like a Mexican hot chocolate. We have the café level, which is coffee, and then we have the tequila level. So why don't you explain what the levels are?
Yes, so the chocolate levels is $4 a month, and there you will have access to exclusive Patreon only episodes. So that's going to be 15 minutes of us cutting loose a little more behind the scenes stuff. So it'll be a little bit different than our educational content. It'll be more just gossiping and catching up with y'all. So
Yeah.
we're excited.
And it's a little behind the scene, a little kind of more into our personal life. And I think, are also thinking about having some like guests maybe, or some exclusives that won't be available to everyone. So really excited about that. And then what about the café level?
So the cafe level is $7 a month, and there you have access to the previous level with the episodes, but then you'll also have access to a Discord community, which has been highly requested. And then after that, once a month subscriber virtual meetups. So we're excited for that.
So we always talk about these cool episodes. We talk about a lot of media. So we are thinking of doing either monthly or quarterly. We'll check out the Patreon to see what we decide, but we're going to try to shoot for monthly, where the community can get together like on a virtual Zoom call, and we can watch an episode or talk, or just build a little community. And we will also be doing giveaways within the Discord. So if you've ever wanted to do like a reading or something, and you're like, well, how do I get into it? This is a good level to be in, because we'll be doing some giveaways within the Discord. And lastly, we have our tequila level.
The tequila level is $25 a month. So you get everything from the previous tiers, but you also get a 15-minute appointment with myself or David, or both of us, whoever you'd like. Normally, our 15-minute appointments are $40 a month. So you get this really for like, I want to say about 40% off. So it's a nice little treat yourself subscription if you want like a monthly reading, or if you want to pick David's brain about something, or have questions about starting your own podcast. That would be sort of like a nice way to do like monthly, TA sort of questions.
Yeah. And then with that tequila level, let's say you didn't use your reading that month, it is transferable. So let's say you want to like give a reading to a friend, or you just want to introduce somebody to Genesis, or I guess myself. I don't know why people would want to talk to me for 15 minutes, but it is transferable. So I think that's a kind of a great value. And again, it's a lot cheaper than just booking a regular reading with Genesis. So if you're interested, check it out. Our link will be in our link tree for the Patreon, and we're really excited to start the new community. With that said, with new beginnings, we say goodbye to old friends, and that means we are cutting the Spotify donation. So if you've been supporting that, thank you so much. We really appreciate it for the last couple of months. But we are going to be transferring over completely to Patreon.
Yes, definitely. And with that, we also want to start posting our locations and pop-ups ahead of time. So sort of like how we've been doing the topics ahead of time, I want to do a similar format so that y'all know where you could find us. Of course, always available virtually, but we are going to be pretty much every Saturday at our studio within Luna in Merced, and then once a month in San Francisco. I'll be back in San Francisco August 31st.
Yay.
Yeah, that was so much fun. But this upcoming Saturday, the 27th, we will be here from 12 to 6 for walk-ins or appointments.
Yeah. Alrighty, well, today we have a really, really fun episode. We're going to be talking about Leos, but before that, let's talk about our altar episode. It was a super fun episode to record and got a lot of engagement.
Yes, it was a very cute episode. Janet had a lot to say. Janet said, when I was listening to your podcast about altars, it made me think about how small my altar actually was when I started my journey compared to what it is now. It's so nice to go back to my old pictures and see how small my little altar was, and I had no idea how much my spiritual journey was going to affect me to the person that I am today. I went from having one little section on my table to having an entire table dedicated to my craft, and now I have even added an additional section. I know you guys have seen my altar for just a second, but once I move and have everything situated, I would love to show you how it looks. I really like the altar podcast.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Janet. I really like the altar podcast episode too. And your altar was really amazing. We kind of kept it anonymous last time because based on what you said, I didn't even know that like you should protect your altar, but people wanted to share. You know, people were it turned into a very cool show and tell where we have other people who are literally like, hey, come over to my house. I want to show you my altar. So I was really touched by that. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it's such a privilege for someone to feel like they can trust you enough to show you their altar and be like, this is this is that. So I love that so much. Thank you all for sharing.
And speaking of, we saw another cool altar in person, right?
Yeah, so when we did our pop-up last Thursday, Sarah from Abracadabra was also open. She's our neighbor, also on the second floor, but across the way, opposite the stairs. And she has a beautiful altar dedicated to Hades and ancestors. So if you ever go shopping at Abracadabra, you see her altar. But remember, altars are to be looked at and adored, but do not touch somebody's altar. That's a big no-no.
I know. I saw a couple people touching, and it was interesting because she has a huge hand that says, please do not touch, but it's almost like, keep touching it.
Yeah, I know. It's like, don't push the button.
Yeah. Push the button.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. Well, let's talk about Leos. Probably the best sign there is, I would say.
Every Leo says that. I had a lot of Leos be like, I'm excited for the Leo episode.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you're in luck because Leo season is just around the corner. So Leos are a fixed sign. So that means the sign is in the middle of the season. So Leos are in the middle of summer.
So they'll always be Leos, basically?
So what do you mean by that? Sorry, I don't understand the
question. Because I think you said last time, or with one, we've done Geminis and Cancer. Like, they can range, right?
Yeah, so the actual dates always range depending on the year, but a fixed sign means that they're in the middle of the season, so they have specific attributes. That means that they are reliable and predictable versus like how we spoke about Geminis. Geminis are immutable. So that means that they're a little more flexible. Leos are pretty much what you see is what you get. Yeah. They're a fire sign. They're ruled by the sun. They are most compatible with Geminis. Like almost every friend I have is a Gemini sun or a Gemini moon, but more specifically Gemini moons. Like I meet so many people and they're like, I'm a Gemini moon. And I'm like, that's wild. But anyway, so most compatible with Geminis, Libras, Sagittarius, Aries, and sometimes Aquarius, depending on the situation.
That's like half the zodiac.
Yeah, because the most compatible signs are the ones that are like within denominations of 60 degrees away.
Right. Yeah.
But not 90 degrees. So those are the ones. And at their best, Leos are loyal, protective, sweet, and leaders. And at their worst, they could be called self-centered, flashy, and bossy.
See, you say those things, but I don't think those are bad things. At their worst, I feel like those are all like positives.
Very typical for a Leo to be like, I'm little Mr. Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that's bad either, to be honest, but you know, that's just what the haters will say. So, some examples of some famous Leos.
Wait, okay, but before you go into there, some most compatible with, I love that, but you know, the spiciness in me, who are they least compatible with?
Yeah, so I feel like they would be least compatible with, let me do the math real quick. Scorpios. Because Scorpios are 90 degrees away. And Taurus. I personally...
Yeah, you really beef with Tauruses.
I beef with certain Tauruses. Specifically cisgendered heterosexual male Tauruses, always beefing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I do. That's just, it is what it is. But yeah, those are the ones that Leos are not as compatible with. Although I will say I do love Scorpios. Because I don't know, I feel like water energy is a little more forgiving versus Earth is very like stubborn. I'm right. And that's just one thing that
And Earth is Taurus and Scorpio is water?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's just one thing that I'm like, oof, I can't stand that.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me personally, earth signs are a little bit tricky, but there are definitely some earth signs out there that I love, but male Tauruses, little difficult for me. Yeah.
I know that you mentioned last time that certain signs, oh gosh, what's it called when it's like the same signs? Like a Leo? You mentioned the term, I could be wrong. But what's the compatibility between Leos and Leos?
I mean, when you get people of the same sign, it could really be 50-50 because it's like, oh, you're so like me that you understand me, or you're too much like me that you get under my skin.
Yeah.
So, yeah. We are a triple Leo household, but we're surviving. We have a good time.
So what does a triple Leo household mean?
So, I mean, it just means that we have 3 Leos in one roof. You, me, and Lucy. Lucy is our dog.
So Genesis self-appointed Lucy as a Leo. We did not adopt her. We rescued her. So we have literally no idea when she was born.
We do know that she was born August 2018, and her adoption day is July 26th. So based on both those metrics, she is a Leo. There's no way she's a Virgo. Ain't no way she's a Virgo.
So again, we really don't know.
No, we do know. If you meet Lucy, she will howl at you for pets. All she wants is love and attention and to be adored. No, she's absolutely a big old
You
baby.
think she's a Leo?
She's a big old baby Leo. Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, obviously I was excited because this is my sign. Before I really knew about astrology, which I still don't know much about astrology, which is funny because I feel I've had people now come up to me because they know I'm with you, and they're like, "Oh, what do you think about this?" or "What do you think about that?" And I'm like, I really still don't know. Kind of sidetracking here, but I had somebody say like, "Oh, it must be really cool living with Genesis. You must get like all the free readings you want." And I was like, I've never asked for a single read. Maybe one time, kind of jokingly, but
Yeah.
I don't take advantage of the perks of being married to an astrologer.
You're lost.
But I will say, like, obviously, because I'm a Leo, I've always kind of known a little bit more about Leos, and that's honestly really the only sign I care about.
Do you feel like you resonate with a lot of the Leo memes
I mean, okay.
or stereotypes?
I'm going to answer your question. I feel like I do, but I feel like everybody resonates with their own, like, sign. It's like, oh, that's so me. But, and you know, there's a little bit of truth to that because you've always said there's a little bit of every sign in every one. So you're going to resonate with something. It's kind of like casting a wide net. You're probably going to catch something. But yeah, every Leo meme I've seen, every kind of astrology thing I've seen, I'm like, yeah, that sounds like me. And to further validate that point, and when you go to like the Chinese restaurants and they have the little like placements with all the
Chinese zodiac?
the Chinese zodiacs, I think I'm a horse. I might be a horse.
Me horse?
Me horse.
That's an inside joke from his Discord community, but anyway.
We can probably talk about that in our Patreon.
Yeah, we will.
Anyways, I think that also matches with me, you know. So I don't know. I'm a huge skeptic, so it's really hard for me to be like, oh yeah, I'm a Leo and this is me. But yeah, I do agree with it.
So I'm also a Leo, but when I see the Leo memes, I actually don't resonate with them because before I started deep diving into astrology, I thought there was only one type of Leo, like this type of Leo. Gesturing at David. Sorry, I forgot that we might not release this yet. But there are other types of Leos, such as myself, that I feel like are a little more subtle and we'll talk about us specifically in a minute, but it also depends on like where your sun is in your chart, like specifically what house it is. And if you want to do a super advanced astrology deep dive, it also matters what decan it's in. There are 3 decans between 0 and 10, 11 and 20, and then 21 to 29, or aka 0. So yeah, that also determines what type of Leo you are.
So there's different flavors of Leo.
Yeah. Different strengths. I think I would call it different strengths of Leo.
And I'm the best strength there is.
You are the concentrate of Leos. Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. So what are some famous Leos?
So I would say some famous Leos are Obama, Coco Chanel, Amelia Earhart, Whitney Houston, your girl that you're obsessed with recently, Dua Lipa,
Yeah, Dua Lipa.
Neil Armstrong, Madonna, J-Lo, Mick Jagger, and Coolio.
Yeah, I love that list. Dua Lipa is really cool. I want to go see her. She's going to be in Vegas in September, and I'm trying to go to that. Not with Genesis, so I'm really excited for that possibility. You know what's interesting? I don't know if this has anything to do with like astrology or anything, but how do you call the day that you die? Your death date, I guess?
Mhm.
Yeah. And it probably has no astrological significance, but a weird fact about my birthday, which is August 16th, that's the day that Elvis died. Elvis Presley, yeah.
Interesting.
So I've always found that kind of interesting.
Every date has significance in astrology.
Yeah.
But anyway, I feel like a lot of these folks are pioneers in their industry.
Yeah.
I think
Coco Chanel.
I was gonna say shit when people were like, "You can't wear pants," she's like, "Fuck you, watch me."
Yeah. Whitney Houston.
Yeah, really trailblazers. I feel like J-Lo looks like her face looks like a lion. Like she has like I don't know how to
She's
explain
in
it.
a lot of hot water right now. I don't know if that's
She-
what we're going to be talking about.
She is, but like the hair and then like the proportions of her face, it looks like a lion in a good way.
Okay.
That's always who I thought of when I think of famous Leos. But now let's talk about some infamous Leos. Napoleon
Okay.
is an infamous Leo who was very self-centered and wanted to rule the world, and thought he had more power than he did.
Okay.
And then, funny enough, 2 other Leos that are like a little selfish that gravitated towards each other: Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton.
Okay. I saw your list because we have some notes, so I can see ahead a little bit of what we're going to say. What's wrong with Monica Lewinsky?
There's absolutely nothing wrong with Monica Lewinsky, but the whole like, it's scandalous. Yes.
Yeah, it's scandalous, but I don't think she did anything wrong.
No, she didn't. She was a young college intern, but I don't know. It's just interesting to see like another Leo relationship, if you will.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, so Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky were both Leos, so that is an interesting correlation there. I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah, the 2 fire signs and all that passion, they couldn't keep it, or I should say Bill couldn't keep it in his pants.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so I thought that was interesting.
So, okay, let's take an outside perspective for a second and think about other Leos in the world, not just us, even though we're probably the best. But what is the best way to communicate with Leos? Do you think direct, succinct? Well, I'll say for me, I'm not a big fan of like the passive aggressiveness, which
Yeah.
you don't do at all. I would never accuse you of doing that. I'm very like, let's just talk about it. Let's figure it out. Now, based on what you've already mentioned and kind of what you've talked about, is that you think more of a Leo trait, or that just more of our communication style?
I think that's definitely a Leo trait. If you want to see how someone communicates, look at their Mercury sign. But if you don't have that, looking at their sun sign, the sun sign touches a lot of us, so it's okay. But I would say definitely more direct, and also not direct to the point where it's like targeted, like you did this,
Yeah, it's
you
not
messed
mean,
up.
but you're
Yeah.
not being passive aggressive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I-
I think being passive aggressive irks a lot of people, but it really irks me because it makes, not only is it annoying because you have to decipher what the person is saying, but it's also very tiresome and demanding because you're putting more energy into getting to the message as opposed to receiving the message. I'm not too upset about like the act of being passive aggressive because I get it. I mean, I can be catty. That I'm not too upset about, but it's more like, can I trust you now moving forward with your communication? I think it builds a sense of distrust when people are passive aggressive.
Yeah, so my Mercury is in Leo. So what I can say is, yeah, no passive aggressiveness, but also not fighting and direct like you are a blah blah blah. Like no. But Leos definitely appreciate like how can we get to the root of the problem, fix it, and go forward. That's what we really care about.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I just thought about that because you kind of mentioned some of the qualities of the Leos, and I was like, well, I think communication is really important. So. Awesome. Well, since we're already talking about ourselves, why don't you tell me a little bit more about kind of your Leo?
So I am a Leo sun. That means I was born during the Leo season. But then when I was born, Mercury and Venus were also in Leo. And that's called a stellium when you have 3 planets very close together in the same sign. Someone else that also has this same pattern is Celine Dion. Believe it or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's not doing so hot right now.
I know, but just very interesting. And then for me specifically, Leo rules my 11th house of friendship. So it's really interesting because the Leo traits that I always did resonate with were like loyalty, caring for other people, defending other people. So it's interesting that is where Leo is in my chart.
Yeah.
And since I do have a Leo Venus, my love language is words of affirmation. And also just when I was dating back in the day, if someone was playing mind games, if they weren't all about me, saying how much they were into me, I was like, nah, next. Like, you have to be all about it. And that's where I like to be treated like royalty is with the word. So that is where some of my Leo definitely comes out.
So that's the Leo in you. That's kind of what comes out. What about with me?
So with you, you are a Leo sun and also a Leo Venus.
So the same as you?
Except for your Mercury. Your Mercury is in, I want to say Virgo. Yeah, it's in Virgo. Yes.
Sure.
In your 9th house of higher development and travel. So the 11th house is more communal. The 9th house is more individualistic. So that's definitely where I feel like you get your Leo confidence and we're going to do it this way and we're going to fix it together and I'm making the decision. Your love language is time and gifts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah, so I definitely, I could see how Leo influences you and me differently because mine is more communal and yours is more individualistic.
I feel like I just spent 10 minutes saying I don't like being passive aggressive, and you're basically telling me I'm needy right now.
It's okay, baby. We can give and take. You just have to give me words of affirmation and I'll buy you stuff. It's the perfect relationship. This is why it works. This is why 2 Leos can work sometimes.
You know, it is interesting. We have this funny thing that we do every year where we won't tell each other what we want for our birthdays. It's kind of a joke, but it's also kind of annoying. But if you were to see our like birthday wish list, I don't think you would know whose is whose. Like mine is, I think, a little more eclectic, a little more like, I don't want to say feminine, but like very like high-end bougie stuff, while yours is way more practical, I feel.
Okay, let's talk about that because I feel like this also reflects the type of Leos we are. My ideal, if you're gonna get me something, don't get me stuff. Get me experiences.
Yeah.
Get me a massage, get my nails done, take me to a good restaurant, take me on an adventure. Like, I like get my car detailed. People think that's weird. They're like, what the heck? That's so mundane. But it's like, no, I like that type of stuff. So for me, it's services and experiences. But for you, like, when I've tried doing the same thing, you're like, what the heck? I don't want that. I want stuff. Get me nice stuff. So yeah, I've learned that's definitely the type of Leos that we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes for very interesting dynamics at home. It's always fun. Like, I think we balance each other very well. We're also exactly 2 weeks apart. Your birthday's August 2nd and mine is August 16th. So it's exactly 2 weeks. And that middle point between our birthdays is always super fun and interesting. Yeah.
I feel like that could also push us into different decans of like what if we're like the beginning, middle, or end of Leo season, which can also affect the type of Leo that we are, because if you're born between 0 and 10, you're a Leo combination. If you're born between 10 and 20, you're a Leo Sagittarius combination. And then if you're born between 20 and 29.9 degrees, you're like a Leo Aries combination. I forgot to look at the specific degrees for us, but yeah, that's how it works.
All joking aside, I know we're great Leos, but we've talked about a lot about like the positives of Leos and what great characteristics they have. I think leadership is like a really big one with Leos, right?
We're both in management.
Yeah.
Against our will.
Well, I won't say that, but no, I'm very happy where I am. And not just on that. I think we have very common like leadership skills. What's interesting is with us, like I don't know, would you say that you lead me or I lead you more? We're pretty equal, or it just depends?
It depends on the day, how one person is feeling. Yeah. It really depends.
Okay, but enough with the good stuff. I do want to be fully transparent and I want to be fully balanced. What are some of the difficulties with the Leo signs? Because we went ad nauseum with Geminis. Like, I think we kind of dragged them through the dirt a little bit. So I think it's only fair that we also talk about, some of the difficulties of working or interacting with Leos.
Yeah, I feel like if you have too many strong Leos together, you can't get anything done, or they might not be willing to compromise.
A lot of like type A personalities.
Yeah, type A personalities. Yeah. I also have a Libra stellium, so I feel like that balances me to where like I'm type A if I need to be, and I'm type B if there's the right type of type A in the mix, where it's like
you know how to step back.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I feel like that can be really difficult. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like we're all having a bad day and we all want to be taken care of.
You know what's funny though? It's a little bit of an inside joke, but I think it's true. We're very good at recognizing when we're all struggling, you, me, and Lucy, but mostly you and me. And we kind of take a little pause and respite and say, hey, both of us can't be struggling, so one of us needs to step up and like let the other person have their tantrum or meltdown. And we're pretty good about that, right?
Lucy's always struggling though. She's never going to step it up.
But between us, I mean, I think we're really good about that, because obviously there's days we're both tired. There's days we're both not moody, because I don't say we get moody with each other, but there's days that we just had long days or are having some personal struggles. And it's funny when it aligns. It's very rare when it aligns. And I think it's so rare that we notice it, because I'll see like, oh, I can tell that you're not doing so well, but I'm also not doing so well. So one of us needs to be an adult and like take care of the other. And
exactly.
I like that. That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you have the big like self-confidence of like, I don't care. I don't care what XYZ person thinks. Like, I don't care. I'm right. I feel like you have that a lot.
I could see that.
Yeah. But it's good because, yeah, you don't want to be like self-conscious and self-deprecating all the time, but you just have like a lot of confidence.
Like a little too much confidence. Yeah. And I think that's actually a great segue, because I can talk about myself, I can talk about you, but I actually reached out to a Scorpio, which is funny because you mentioned Leos and Scorpios sometimes don't get along the best. Well, I reached out to the main person who knows me, my mom, and she's a Scorpio. She was born in October, so I'm sure she's going to be really excited for her episode. But I just asked her, I was like, well, I mean, just on the sense of being a Leo, like, what do you what do you think? What are your thoughts? Because she's big into astrology and spirituality. So I thought that would be a good person to ask what she thought about Leos in general. But she's like, you're kind of the main Leo I know, so I just have to kind of talk about you. She mentioned that she likes the confidence. She's like, I feel like you're a very confident person. She mentioned like very organized. She said that she just has noticed that. And she gave 2 examples, really, and I think examples are the best way to demonstrate what people are trying to portray. So she mentioned one time in high school, and I do remember this story. There's a little bit more to this story, which I'll go into, but I was a senior in high school, and we were doing like a picture day. They got all the seniors and put them on these like stairs. They call them the big red stairs, and they just took like a big group photo. So I made a huge like chain. I went to Michael's and got like a big D, and then like bedazzled it. It kind of looked like a Flavor Flav type chain, but it was just like a giant D. So I think that's all my mom saw. But what actually happened, well, and she says, I thought that was really cool. I was like, you're super confident, like just that that confidence to go into a group photo with a giant, blinged out chain. She was super impressed by that, which I didn't know until I asked her about this episode. The whole story, though, is that I have my best friend's name in high school is Patrick. So we were kind of like bored, and we said, well, why don't we ditch school and then like go make these funny chains for the picture? And the funny part was that I was going to be next to him, and his name is Patrick and my name is David. And so we spelled out DP. And that was like the joke, like big flashy change that like spelled out DP. And I'll let you interpret that however you want. But that was a joke. But my mom always thought it was just like, I guess like peacocking, I guess. Like she's like, I just thought that was really cool that you did that. So that was like her first example alluding to like the confidence and I guess like you said, like not having that self-consciousness. And then with like the organization and the leadership, she alluded to when I was going to college, she was always super involved and gave me what I needed. I don't want to make it sound like she wasn't there, but she was also very like, you're independent, figure it out. So, for anybody who's been to college as a freshman, there's a lot of orientations, there's a lot of groups, you basically go with your parent or guardian and there's just like different sessions and workshops and, I organized all that. So my mom was like, yeah, I'll be there for you, but just organize it. What I did was basically I booked us the hotel, I got us the itinerary, and it wasn't anything major. I mean, I was 17 at that time, so it wasn't like I was a little kid registering myself for school, but she, I guess, always appreciated that I just kind of took charge of like my own, just life. And she was there for the ride and obviously supported like how a parent would support, but she wasn't the one initiating like, even the parent tours and workshops. I'm the one who signed her up for what she needed to go to. So, those are kind of the two examples that she used. And then as far as like, because I also, again, asked her, I was like, well, those are great qualities, I think, but like, what are some difficulties? And yeah, I mean, she kind of mentioned the same thing. Like, sometimes I'm very quick to, like, escalate, or if I don't agree with something, I don't want to say I have a bad temper. I just, like, if I just don't agree with something, I don't let that fester. I let it be known. And maybe just, I'm not always as patient. So, yeah, that was her feedback for me as a Leo, which I thought was great.
Yeah, I feel like you have patience for the things that obviously require patience. Like if someone has really bad anxiety and they can't get it together, like me, you have patience there. But for like the little mundane things, like I don't know, being on time to like a kickback or like a football game, you're like, oh, I need this. But I will say that's probably more your Virgo Mercury, which is an earth sign, and Virgos are very organized. I've
brought it up multiple times, but I hate being late. Like, it doesn't matter what the occasion is. It could be, like you said, like the birth of a child or just like a party. And either way, like it's still very important for me to be on time. So that was me. And then I don't know if you asked anybody about you, probably not, but just based on the episode and knowing you and how much I know about Leos, because again, that's the only sign that I really know. I think you're like, I want to say like a ninja, right? Like you get shit done, but you work in the shadows. I don't always think you're the one who wants to shine, but you're always the one who gets shit done. Like, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I love being compared to a ninja because I am not stealthy at all.
You're not light on your feet?
No. You were looking at me sideways because I've been accidentally slamming things for the past...
You have. For some reason, you're slamming our cabinets. You're throwing stuff in the kitchen. It's really aggravating. I don't know where that's coming from. So
it's just accidental. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, no, and then I'm always super admired. One of the biggest qualities that I like about you, like more of the superficial qualities, is your writing. You do well, even with the Kythera Collective, our business, like you take care of most of the writing for any documents or descriptions or anything like that. I don't know if that has anything to do with Leo or you just had a good academic upbringing, but I've always kind of admired that. Like your writing style, it's very, I would say it has Leo qualities. Like it's very direct to the point, well articulated, and not full of fluff. I think when I write, sometimes I kind of fluff things up a little bit just because I'm like, I don't feel like sometimes I have the words or I'm as smart to like explain what I'm trying to say. So for me, sometimes with my writing, it's more filler, but with you is very good, and that's something I've always kind of admired.
This might be getting very technical, but I feel like I write very well because my Mercury is in Leo, which is 120 degrees, which is very helpful, from my Jupiter in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is like the philosopher of the zodiac.
Oh,
Then the
okay.
third house has to do with like, yeah, academic upbringing. But then I can write better than I speak. I feel like half the time when I'm
I
speaking,
agree.
I'm very confusing,
Yeah.
and that's because my Venus and my Mercury are there. So my emotions can dictate my word choice, or if I'm frazzled in my brain, then my words will also be frazzled, which is like most of the time. So I do better writing than speaking to somebody.
Your writing voice is a lot better than your speaking voice, I will say.
I can't talk for
For
shit.
someone who has a podcast, that's surprising.
Literally. If I rehearse and I have like a speech where I have a skeleton and I know what to say, I can speak very well. But if it's off the cuff, casual, people are like, what the fuck are you saying?
Yeah. Awesome. I want to be consistent across all of our episodes regarding the zodiac signs. I do want we touched on it a little bit, but I do want to just get kind of your final answer on this. What are some good romantic compatibilities with Leos? Before us, would you say like a Leo romantic relationship would work? Like, would that have been something you would have advocated for?
No, that's any dual sign is a big old gamble, except for I would say maybe Gemini. Gemini, I think is the only one that could work. Or really any air sign. Air signs are the only ones that can work with each other. Everyone else, it's a little dicey. Yeah.
So what are some good like romantic compatibilities with Leos?
I would say Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius.
So the same ones you talked
Yeah.
about? Yeah.
Yeah.
And like within a relationship, why does that work so well? Astrologically speaking.
They're all air signs, first of all.
Okay.
And they,
And is it because Leos are fire signs, so like
yes.
air fuels the fire?
Yes. Yes. Like in nature, yes, that makes sense. But also it's just the degrees away.
Mm-hmm.
So then their energies are harmonizing. And also air signs, they can give and take.
Yeah.
They can step up and step back. So if the Leo of that day wants to take charge, then they're okay with them taking charge. But if the other day the Leo's like, no, I want to be treated and spoiled, then they can step up and like treat and spoil them. So honestly, just any air sign is good for Leos.
Well. Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. Cool. Anything else that we need to know about Leos? I feel like there's a lot. Like anything else you want to share?
Definitely be patient with your Leos. Understand that they are not egomaniacal by any means.
They're a little egomaniacal.
They're very sweet underneath the surface, and if you befriend a Leo, they'll be your friend for life.
Yeah. Other than us and Lucy, do we know any Leos?
Like half my family is Leo.
True. Yeah, your mom's a Leo. Your brother's a Leo.
Like half of my mom's side is Leo.
Oh, that's right.
And then we have friends that are Leos.
Which friends do we have that are Leos?
Crystal Rosas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then Iris.
Yeah, that's true. Cool.
Yeah.
What do you think about your family dynamics and the sense of the Leos? That's kind of interesting, right?
My mom and my brother always went at it. They would always argue.
And that was the more typical. That's like when the 50-50 goes wrong.
Yeah, honestly.
When Leos go wrong.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, that was difficult. That was a triple Leo household, and then my dad was a Taurus.
Oh gosh.
So yeah,
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of chaos, huh?
a lot of
Yeah.
chaos. Yeah,
Cool.
to say the least.
All right, well, let's go into some questions here. We only had one question, but that's fine. And again, just a reminder, if you have questions from previous episodes, we're more than happy to answer them. The questions have been dwindling a little bit, which is absolutely fine. But if you know what's really interesting? We've had people say, like, I have so many questions, I'm just like nervous to post them. So a couple options. You can text us if you don't have our number. You can say you want to remain anonymous, or you can just send like a DM, and we can just share a story. We can remove any identified information. We love the community engagement, and I get it. Some people are shy, so if you're listening and you've been a long time listener and you've had questions and you're just like, I don't know if I want to ask them, don't be shy. Or even if you don't want us to share them, but you have the questions, just send them to us and say, hey, don't put this on the podcast, but I have this question for you. So just putting that out there.
Yes, definitely.
But now somebody who's not shy and is a Gemini is Mazi. She said, what's a good gesture for a Leo during this season? Gifts or actions? So is she talking about, like, specifically about Leo season?
Just Leos in general, like how to treat a Leo, how they would want to be treated. At the root of it, they want to be spoiled. Whether it's like me, they want to be spoiled with experiences, or like David, they want to be spoiled with like actual material gifts.
Yep.
Just think about the Leo and how can I make their day special? Like, what is special to them? And yeah.
So mostly like acknowledgement.
Not only acknowledgement, but like how to pamper them. Because if someone got me like an Hermes bag, like, yeah, that would be cool. I'm not going to turn that down. But if someone...
You did not just say you'd be ungrateful for an Hermes bag.
I did not say I would be ungrateful.
You implied it.
But if someone said, I'm going to get you 3 days straight at a spa, I would appreciate that a lot more, to be honest.
To be very clear, I would take the Hermes bag.
And that's why you're that type of Leo, and I'm this type of Leo. So, yeah, just how are you going to make them feel special?
Is Lion the sign for Leo because of the regalness of it?
Yeah.
The nobility?
And leadership.
Oh, okay. So that's maybe one way to look at it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's giving Bridgerton vibes with the Queen. Yeah.
Yes.
If you haven't seen Bridgerton, highly, highly recommend it. And yeah, the Queen is something else in that show.
Absolutely.
That kind of reminds me of like a Leo situation.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. She doesn't like to be challenged or
Yes.
wronged. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. So basically, you have to make it feel like it's their day. But
Yeah.
what does their day want to look like?
You're not going to believe this. I just looked it up. Queen Charlotte was a Leo.
What?
Yeah, she was a Leo.
Oh no, what you're looking up is a quiz. But the author of the quiz did agree that Queen Charlotte is like a Leo. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe not.
We all came to the same conclusion.
Yeah, cool. So very regal, very full of themselves, very not egomaniac, but like the ego is very high.
Absolutely.
What about stroking their ego? Because I feel like Leos can also see through that.
Yeah.
There's a difference between acknowledging the ego and stroking the ego.
And some people like that at all costs, but I think it's the genuineness. If it's not genuine, they don't want it. It's like if you give them like a
fake Hermes.
like a fake Hermes, they're gonna be like, what the fuck is this? Yeah. So it can't be fake. It has to be genuine. And then they really will appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, I learned a lot about myself. I think we're wonderful people, obviously, because we're Leos. But no, I think this is definitely the episode for Leos to speak out and let us know. Let us know if you are a Leo, if you know a Leo, what your thought on Leos is, and can't wait to share that in the next episode. And speaking of the next episode, what do we have planned?
We have Serendipity, which I am actually very much looking forward to.
Yeah, super excited for that. And that'll be our last episode of July, right?
Yep.
Yeah. We started the podcast in September, I believe. So
yeah,
a month for our anniversary. Serendipity is quite a unique concept. So without going too much into it, so people can have the time to ask questions. What is the concept of serendipity?
So serendipity is
It's kind of like right place, right time,
okay.
but a more like the universe bringing you to that experience, I guess. It's semi-related to the butterfly effect. However, with the butterfly effect, it's more like cause and effect. And with serendipity, I think it's a little more like you're just where you need to be and things work out that way.
Okay, I looked up the definition because I was like, I can feel it, but I don't know how to explain it. An occurrence and development of events by chance in a happy or beneficial way. So like a happy chance or like a happy development of events. Yeah.
Awesome. So any questions on serendipity, go ahead and drop them. And how can people get a hold of you?
Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube at Jen Kahlo or on our website, jenkahlo.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for listening to the Leo episode. A super fun one that I was really looking forward to.
Yes, thank you all so much for listening to us talk about ourselves over and over for 45 minutes. But remember, the magic within you makes the world a more beautiful place. Blessed